Welcome to today's video. In today's video, we want to look at closures with functions together. So we saw how we can pass in closures and functions, and now we want to declare a function with a closure. So let's just create a simple function. So we have function, and then as a parameter, we want a closure. Right, so we would say something like closure. And then let's just say we want to have string input and it should return just nothing. Okay, and now what we want to do in this function is just we want to call our closure, right? And we want to pass in something like donkey. And now if we call this function, then we would have to pass in a closure, right? So we would do curly braces, and let's just say string in, and we say print string. And if we run this code, then you will see that donkey is printed. So what we have here is, and this is very important, is in the function we have a closure as the parameter, and because we have declared it here, then of course what we do in this function is we can use this closure. So we would call this closure inside this function, and what this closure does, so the actual code inside this closure, we will pass this into our function. So this we will do outside of the function. So here inside the function we use this closure, and outside this function we will define what's inside this closure. And just keep this in mind whenever we create a closure. Great. So I want to show you another thing which you can do with closures and functions, and this is that you can of course also return a closure from a function. Right, so let's just create another function, and let's call it function2. And now we have no parameter, and return the closure. So let's just do this. So we have our arrow here again, and whatever comes after the first arrow is the return type of this function. So now we want to return a closure, so we can just say that we have a closure which has a input type string, and this closure has its own return type of nothing. Let's just return nothing, and then we open this function. So again, this arrow is for the return type of this function, which is our closure here, and this arrow is for the return type of our closure. So now of course we have to return something, so we can just say return and then open braces, and of course it expects a string, so we can again say string in, and let's just print it again. So now we have a function which returns a closure, and now let's see how we can use this returned closure. So what we do again is we call our function, so function2, and what we do is we open another set of braces like so, and this is this. So what we have here, because this function returns a closure, is just our closure, and here we have its brackets, so we have to pass in a string. So let's just say mountain goat, and now let's run our code, and we will see that we have our output.